What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
Death by Stereo.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time at RadioWhat.com. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? Yeah, you know you're going to go to DJLittleRock.com, check availability, and get a free price quote. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Maybe you can have me at your event playing for you. Yes, you know I like to play for the people. Today on the program, excitement. Pennan Brae will be on the program today. I found him on Instagram, and he's a musician, but he's also done movies. So I'm kind of excited to find out how he melded both of those things, because it's very rare that a musician also does film, also becomes a filmmaker. So he's a screenwriter and a musician and a filmmaker. And let's find out what else Pennan Brae does. I'm kind of stoked about that. He's up there in the Vancouver area of Canada, I think. At least that's what I saw on his Instagram. So I'm kind of stoked about that. You got that to look forward to in the next few minutes. Let me tell you about the shows that I got this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, I'm at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas for the family-friendly video dance party karaoke jam. Yes, they have great barbecue. Yes, they have frosty beverages for the parents. You know, you don't have to, you can drink a little something, while the kids have fun with yours truly, singing some songs. And, if the mood hits you, you could sing a song as well. You're the star of the show, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas. Be there. That starts at 6 o'clock and it ends at 9. Yeah, it's a good time. And then on Friday night, Friday night, I'm at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Rab, spelled backwards, it's bar. Oh, okay. Conway is in a dry county, but they have a club at the Rab, so you can go and hit some drinks. But they're not allowed to call it a bar, so they spelled it backwards, Rab. So if you look at it in your rearview mirror, it says bar. You see how smart they are at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas? They have a full bar, they have a kitchen, and they have so many pool tables now. They've added pool tables. So there was a little bit of an idea, an inkling that maybe there wouldn't be any karaoke. Possibly there wouldn't be a need for it. It's possible. They're going to add some pool tables and some shuffleboard and some pong and make it really fun at the Rab. But I've been at the Rab for on Friday nights for the most part for the last couple of years, and on and off for the last 8 or 9 years, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, they thought about canceling the karaoke, but due to popular demand, the people said, no, we want Keys Dan at the Rab in Conway. And do you know how humbled I am? How good I felt when the people of the Rab, the patrons of the Rab said, yeah, Keys Dan's the only reason we go. We go to do the karaoke and listen to the music and do the dancing. So we won't go unless Keys Dan there. But, they do have a tournament, pool tournaments, a few times a week. So, yes, the Rab is a great place to play pool. Yes, do it. And they have a lot of fun I wish I knew how to play pool, and I wish I had a day to where I could be in the tournament. But whenever I go to the Rab, I feel like I want to play music. So yes, but they have a pool tournament. So if you want to make some money or try to make some money on a Friday night while you're doing some dancing and singing some songs, do it. Check out the pool tournament. They have more pool tables. From what I understand, they've added 4 pool tables. So it's got to be 10 or 12 pool tables in toto. So check that out. The Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That starts at 8 o'clock and it goes until, well, close to 2 in the a.m. So come out and play with us at the Rab. All right. I think I've rattled your ear off enough. It's time to talk to Pennan Brae. Calling Pennan Brae now.
Hello.
Hi, Pennan Brae, please.
Hey, Dan. How are you doing?
Hey, you got it. It's Keys Dan from the What Makes You Famous podcast. How's your day?
Yeah, that's right. It's not too bad. How about you?
Oh, man, I've had such a good day. I've been driving around all day long, just meeting people and finding out more about them. And that's what I want to do with you, Pennan Brae. Find out more about you all the way up there in Vancouver. Is that where you're at right now?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, how about that?
That's pretty,
so tell the people a little bit about you, Pennan Brae.
Well, I'm a musician and a filmmaker, and we're just about to release our second feature film, and there'll be an album or a soundtrack that goes along with it.
So are you doing it all? You're doing okay? I'm likening you to Robert Rodriguez because he does his films, the Spy Kids and the El Mariachi films where he'll score his own films. He really does them all by himself. Is that what you're doing for the most part?
Yeah. Well, I had some music and. I had done a lot of music videos before,
right?
And it gets after so many music videos, you get bored of telling the story in 3 minutes. You wanna try to develop or exercise something a little bit more. So on the first film that we did was called The Astronaut.
Right.
So that's spelled N-O-T at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, because he wanted to become an astronaut, but he was unable to. And
then
we were able to.
I see where you went with that, a little pun.
Yeah, it was a good little play on words. And then, instead of doing a music video, that you kind of get more bang for your buck in a way because you can co-promote each project, and you can enter the film in film festivals and try your luck there, and that can also co-promote the music. So it's sort of a more recent thing. I'm just trying to pursue as this is just our second film.
Yeah, Pennan Brae, it's a very rare thing when someone develops a talent in both music and film. Which talent developed first? Which one have you been doing the longest?
Well, I've been doing music since I was a little kid, but with the filmmaking portion, I love screenwriting. I don't know how to work camera. I don't know how to film anything myself, but I like to write the story and then co-produce the picture afterwards. So. Right. I wish I had some type of skill with the camera, but I don't know how to even turn one of those on, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, do you have a smartphone in your pocket?
Well, sure. Yeah, of course I got that, but
sure, everyone's got
nothing more sophisticated.
You can take a selfie. You can put it on Instagram. You get the general gist of how to work a camera. I get it. But But what you're doing is you're hiring people that are smarter than you in that area, and they're helping you make this film or these films because you've done more than one. That's for sure. Okay, so. Yeah. Take me back to Pennan Brae in the early days. Were you always in Vancouver?
I grew up in the Toronto area and then moved out to the West Coast, and then released my first album 10 years ago, and next September I'm gonna release the 5th album.
Fifth album. And you said you released the first one how long ago?
Well, it was 10 years ago.
10 years.
And,
so in 10 years, you've done 5 albums. That's pretty good. How many songs do you have in your catalog?
Well, I guess there's about 60 or 60 some odd songs right now, but I'd like to get that a bit higher, and then and then with this upcoming film,
right,
that we're just releasing, there'll be another like an album that goes with it instead.
Well, I'm already impressed with you, Pennan Brae, because you've done 60 songs, produced songs.
Yeah,
this is amazing to me. Some people don't get one song.
Thanks. You haven't heard or seen it. You might not like it.
Oh no, I'm looking. I've stalked your YouTube. I'm very impressed with your music.
Thanks.
So it's got that good feel, man. It feels a little vintage, a little. It's like a throwback, I guess, with your music, man.
Oh, well, that's really great to hear. I appreciate that. Means a lot because, musically, I haven't. I kind of stopped listening past the 1990s. So I really love 50s rock with Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and the origin of it all, and Chuck Berry, and then the 60s with the Stones and the Beatles, and 70s with the Eagles and Elton John. I love that type of music with comprehensive albums that you can put an album and listen to it from song 1 to 10 or 12.
Yes.
It feels like a body of work.
Yes, I remember when I was working for a classic rock station, it was always, so if I had to get up and go do something, for example, go to the lavatory or make myself a sandwich while I was doing a show at night, I would put a nice long album side on. And with those classic records, you could do that because every song was a hit. If you grab Fleetwood Mac's, Tusk.
The Rumors album.
Rumors. Oh, if you put Rumors on, you could throw that whole thing on. No problem. Done. If you get Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, throw it on. Or even The Wall. But, there are perfect albums out there that you could just put them on and listen to every song. And if you're attempting to match that is lofty. Very lofty goal, and I think you can do it, man. You put your mind to it, Pennan Brae.
Well, I think those artists are they're the people to try and emulate. It was the crafting was a bit different then.
Sure,
and
sure.
So I want to stay true to that. That's. Releasing. I like the album. I like that concept.
Right.
Trying to make a full body of work. So
how did you get a hold of these records growing up? How old are you right now?
Well, I don't want to declare that publicly. It's a bit.
I'm 50 years old. I have no problem saying I'm 50 years old. Class of '86 rules, and I agree. A lot of the music that was made after 1990, it kind of fell apart. I think I'm in full agreement there. The golden age of rock. You mentioned the 50s. You mentioned 2 out of the 3 that unfortunately passed on the day the music died, with Richie Valens and Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly.
I mean, yes, in their young lives, they burned out so quickly, and that's what happens when you were living like they were living, and it was unfortunate with the airplane and such, but other
it was a different time,
right. So all right, I'm trying to get
in the 80s also, like as you mentioned, I grew up in the 80s also, and I'm
getting a little bit of a grasp of how old you are, Pennan Brae. If you grew up in the 80s,
that's how old I am. Let's call that a figure.
There.
And I mean, how what a wonderful array of music is throughout that decade, and it's so. You can listen. You can when you hear something from the 70s, it's from the 70s,
right?
60s, 50s, in the 80s,
right.
In the 90s, somewhat. With the Chili Peppers or Nirvana.
Sure.
But there's a real nostalgia kick, obviously, right now at the 80s, and just such wonderful personalities and music of that decade also.
Yeah, Pennan Brae. I mean, I think with the millennium, when it first turned, it seemed like artists were trying to find a new niche, a new path, and they just couldn't grab it. And now with the 2010s, okay, we're nearing the close of the 2010s, and I think they're finally starting to grab a hold of something that was older, that was pure, heading in the same direction that you're in, Pennan Brae.
I agree with you. I've seen a lot of kids that are 14 to 18 that have totally skipped what's been going on the last 20 years.
Right.
And they're practicing guitar to AC/DC, they're listening to the Beatles and Zeppelin, and I've sort of become aware of that also. I admit to not being very educated in the last 20 years. Like, but if you ask me like what, I can't think of how I would describe the sound of the 2000s or the decade of 2010.
Coldplay and not much else.
Yeah, yeah.
There's Pitbull. I guess he came out in the mid to late 2000s, and that kind of music with the Black Eyed Peas and then Coldplay 2008 when they came up with that Viva La Vida. That one just blew me away with the church bells and that type of trying to break through, trying to break out of what everyone else is doing. And I like
true.
that. I appreciate that. So, all right, growing up in the 80s, and whenever I DJ a party and they don't tell me where to start, I start in the 80s because it's very diverse. Like you said, you got the hair bands, you got the electronica, the techno, so where did you get the older stuff? Is that your parents' influence?
Yeah. And then when I moved out from Toronto to Vancouver, at that time, there was a lot of classic rock stations in the city. And I was working in a beer store in the stockroom. And and I would put the radio on, and it was just like a really stimulating experience. Like I was getting so educated. At that time, I really didn't know the Rolling Stones catalog. But these radio stations were so good that I, month after month after month, I was just listening, 6-7 hours a day, and I felt like I was kind of born again, or like a kid in a candy store. I was getting all this knowledge.
Sure. My favorite part of being a DJ on the radio was when I can give somebody a little tidbit, a little information about the song that was being played. Maybe in 1969, the Rolling Stones were at Altamont doing this, and when they came up with this idea for that song, yes. And I'm sure you were getting such an education listening to the radio so long.
Yeah, it was, that was also still the time of CDs, so, I'd head down to the record store and spend my money there, and, that was, those radio stations, it was just a wonderful era in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
There was three classic rock radio stations that seemed to be the major players of the market at that time. The city was that seemed to be the dominant airwave. So it was, it was great to listen and learn from.
And you're saying this was the 80s when you were doing this?
This was late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s, early 90s. You're already out of school. Did you ever get to college?
I did. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm glad I went. I just handed in my assignments and did what was needed to do.
What was your course of study?
Or whatever. It was music, but I wasn't much into classical music, so I did a very odd musical history Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah.
So it was a very obscure degree.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to do, Pennan Brae. If you got to learn the classics, and some of those teachers will hammer that into you. They won't let you get away with anything less.
Yeah. Well, it was just it was just I don't use much of it now. You know?
I get it.
Sure.
It's like math. I'll never use this again. But then you count change. Yes, people use math here and there, but certainly the musical theory. You feel like you don't use it, but you do. It's in the back of your head somewhere. So it's good that you had that musical education. And you say from the early age you had a musical education from your parents. Were they into the music industry or entertainment as well?
Oh no, not at all. But my father was a huge Eagles fan, and still is, and just getting all that, just getting that education. I mean, you can probably figure out and pinpoint. The late '70s. You've got the end of the disco era with the Bee Gees and whatnot, and so you're soaking up that, and it's it was just all these wonderful eras of music. But I just had you do the piano lessons weekly and things like that. But it's so important. I think if you're a kid, or if you have kids and they're 5 or 6 years old, just to put them in front of some type of instrument, because that age, between 5 and 10, it's just it's no secret. It's the time when things come easiest when you lay that foundation down. So
they're sponges.
Yeah,
they'll soak everything up. Whatever you put in front of them, and whatever sticks, that's what they're going to love. And you got to give them all the tools that you can. And so, okay, I feel like I'd get along with your dad. One of my 3 8-track tapes was the Eagles' greatest hits, and I played that over and over and over. I had an 8-track player in my bedroom growing up, and I played that. Oh, good one. That's another album that you could play front to back. But, of course, it's their greatest hits album, so, how can you go wrong?
Yeah. No, I mean, that just never gets dull, that album. It's just, it's very rich, and it's hard to describe.
Okay, so your dad was not in the music industry. What kind of work did he do?
No, he's a biologist.
Oh,
and
smart.
So but there's always music playing.
He's still around, still doing that?
Yeah, he's retired now.
Oh my! So, what do you think about you getting into the music industry, into the entertainment?
Well, naturally, as parents would be, they had some concern just because, the entertainment business is unpredictable, and it's there's not like you do this and then you graduate to the next step,
right?
And there's not a guidebook, so to speak.
Yeah,
there are certain things you do, but so they're of course they had some concern that, but thankfully they're rooting for me, so that's all that's important.
That's excellent. So, Pennan Brae, I tell people the entertainment business, the money can be good, but the work is not steady. You got to hustle, and it seems like you're working hard for it, man. So, all right, the music was the first thing that you did. What was the first instrument you picked up?
Well, piano was first, and then guitar and harmonica, and those 3 things.
Are those your three main go-tos?
Yeah, they are. They are. And recently, Keith Richards is my big idol, and he plays kind of a interesting tuning called Open G tuning, which is a 5-string tuning, and you can only play those songs like "Start Me Up" and Brown Sugar and whatnot.
Oh my goodness, Tattoo You! I overplayed that album. That was the first track on that album, and I had to buy that 3 times. I played it so much, man. And then I finally got the CD of it, and okay, now I'm fine. I can play this now. Start Me Up, man.
Yeah, that is a luscious album.
Oh, for sure.
I love that whole album from song 1 to 12.
Oh, you got it right. You got it right, man. So, okay, I'm getting your influences. Oh, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to say he plays Open G. So recently I really wanted to work within that tuning. And so on the album that's going to accompany the next soundtrack, that's all going to be Open G tuning. So I'm so I'm really excited about that.
Pennan Brae, I have 3 guitars. I do not know how to play them. I think I can play a few power chords, maybe a blues chord of some kind. You know, I tried to learn a while back, but you got to explain what's an open G. I know there's 6 strings on a guitar usually, but you say it's a 5-string. Well, how does that work out?
Well, Keith Richards says all you need is 5 strings, three chords, 2 hands, and 1 idiot to play it. So that's I check all those boxes. And so what you do is you take the fat string, the bottom string, the low string.
Okay,
you take that off.
Just gone.
And then
5 strings only.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, and then you keep string 2, 3, 4 the same.
Yes,
and that's GBD.
Right.
But you tune the high string down from E to D, and you tune that 5th string down from A to G.
Wow.
So the tuning becomes GD, GBD, and it's a really simple tuning to play in. I recommend you try it with one of your 3 guitars. experiment with that with one. It's very satisfying. And you'd be surprised because all of a sudden a bar chord, when you're stretching your hand across the fretboard, it's just your index finger that forms that chord.
So it's that much easier without that bottom string.
Yeah, like that string's gone, and the tuning allows for very simple finger work.
You get it out of your way.
It's a very nice tuning. It's a very compact tuning, and you can only play songs like "Start Me Up," for example, in that tuning. You can try those chords on standard tuning, and you can play them,
right?
But it won't sound the same. It doesn't. The alignments of the notes aren't coming off the same. So,
wow,
it's a very enjoyable tuning. It's a great tuning for blues music also.
Okay. So not just start me up. And I know the blues were very influential to the Stones. They sang a lot of blues in their early days. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, all those 60s musicians, they knew that generation of Lightning Hopkins and Sunhouse and Muddy Waters and B.B. King and everyone, and they paid tribute to them.
Every time you said a name, I thought about a few chords of the actual artist playing in my head. It's so amazing that all you have to do is say B.B. King or Muddy Waters. Yeah. You can hear a few notes, off of Lucille just playing in your head. So amazing what music can do for you as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's but yet I don't know if it's measurable. Like you hear a song now that it takes you back to when you were 14 years old, and your whole cellular structure changes. I don't know how you measure what does that do to your health or your spirit or whatever. But it's very profound.
Oh, there has to be music that's good for your soul. I know, after I finish DJing a party, and I'll DJ a party for whoever, and whatever type of music they want. If they want speed metal and rap, I'll play it all night long. But sometimes, you got to cool down. You got to, I either get into the car and play nothing, or, find myself that blues riff, that cool down song that just makes you feel good, man. And Pennan Brae, your music's, it can make you feel good too, man. And you're striving to make that music for the people, and that means a lot, man. You're a creator. You are making that content.
Well, hopefully some people might like it. I know on this album for this soundtrack for the astronaut, we're able to through a friend of a friend get Steve Ferroni, who played with Eric Clapton on the 21 Nights at the Royal Albert Hall.
I knew that name sound familiar.
Yeah.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers too, right?
Yeah, he was the drummer for I can't recall how many years off the top of my head, but for a lot of years with.
I'm looking him up right now.
Tom
there
Petty
he is.
Heartbreakers.
Tom Petty, Duran.
Yeah.
You're touching greatness there, man.
Yeah, and then we got Gary Beers, who's the bass player for In Excess. I mean, another mega legend from the 80s. To play on the rhythm, to round out the rhythm section with Steve Ferroni. So on the two lead singles of The Astronaut, which are Walk With Me and Crashland, we were really, really, really fortunate to have these two guys, play on that.
Did you get them up to us to Vancouver, or did they send their tracks in from wherever they are?
Yeah, well, both of those guys are in Los Angeles.
Okay,
and,
I know one's from Australia, and
yeah, definitely. Well, I think he's. I think he's relocated now, so to Southern California. So, we through my friend, Eric Alexandrakis, who's a musician and in the States, and composer. He was kind enough to make this possible, because myself on my own, I wouldn't have been able to, reach these guys. So we showed them the music, and we said, "Are you interested in it?" And thankfully they said, "Sure, yeah."
Fantastic.
We'll give it a go. Sounds all right. So that was a real, probably the musical highlight for me, was to have, have a chance to have these guys playing a song. I say it, but it's you kind of have to pinch yourself.
Yeah. Were you starstruck, Pennan Brae?
Unbelievable.
Were you starstruck? Because I would have been fanboying.
Yeah. Now, I spoke. I didn't make it down to L.A. Eric was in the session.
Yes.
When you're independent musician, you it's hard to get around.
Oh, absolutely.
But I spoke with Steve on the phone, and I saw a video of the sessions, and in a way, I would have loved to have been there, but it was kind of neat. Steve created an arrangement on Walk With Me, which I would have never thought of. So it was quite original, and it gave the song a real kick.
So Pennan Brae, you wrote this music, and then you sent a copy over to L.A., and then you had Steve Ferroni lay down the backbeat. You had Gary do the bass, and then you played the lead on it.
Yeah. Well, first we recorded everything up in Vancouver, so all the guitars and keyboards and vocals, everything was done, and we actually did bass and drums up here.
Okay.
And then Eric Alexandrakis gave me, some advice about it might be good for the album to have a couple of big names like this. Would you like the chance to record with them? And
sure.
So yeah, there was 11 tracks on the song on the album.
But to be clear, they recorded their parts in L.A., right?
Yeah, that's right.
The internet is amazing. You don't even have to meet the people that you're on the album, but they can contribute from wherever they are. I talked to a gentleman, a guitarist in Australia, and he put an album together with a gentleman from Germany and another one from the Middle East. He's never met them in person. He's Skyped with them. He's talked to them on the phone, but he's come up with this amazing album. And this is exactly what you did, Pennan Brae.
Yeah.
You did the same thing.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
You're connected.
Yeah, no, it's true.
By the internet, by this World Wide Web that we're in. See, that's a good way that you can use the World Wide Web, kids. You don't have to be a hater. You can create. Yeah, hey, don't be a hater. Be a creator. Hey, I just made that up.
Hey, to trademark that.
Done.
It's a very uplifting statement.
It is, Pennan Brae. I mean, and you're just scratching the surface of where you learned all your music and how you got to be where you are right now. So 10 years ago, you come up with an album. But before that, you had to have been a working musician of some kind. What were you doing? Were you in college working your way through doing music?
Well, actually, I did the music degree first, and then as a second degree, I got my education degree. So I was teaching grade 1 children.
No kidding.
And
He's a teacher too.
Yeah. Well, I was.
That's great.
I did that for 5 years. It was good. It was good. It's and so during that time, I'd be writing and sort of in the evenings and whatnot, and practicing and trying to get music together to record, and then.
All right, tell me for grade 1, did you bring your guitar into the classroom?
I was doing more piano stuff with that.
Excellent.
And, yeah. Actually, after school, I did my teaching in Thailand, which was wonderful.
That's great too.
Yeah, it was. That was one of the best experiences of my life.
How did you get to Thailand, Pennan Brae?
Well, there's work there for that, and it was just such a culturally stimulating experience. It's a beautiful country and a beautiful culture, and it was a really good time in my life and to experience.
No, 5 years in Thailand. You got to tell me more than that. It was a beautiful culture. No. What did you learn in Thailand, man? You teaching the first grade kids, and were you teaching them just English, or you were teaching them every subject?
In this program, it was math and English and geography and music, and it was. And then by the end of it, you've learned to speak, somewhat and read and write a little.
I suspect that's true.
You just learn. Pardon me?
I suspect that's true. You have to learn how to read and write and speak a little Taiwanese.
No, it's just Thai. It's just Thai.
Thai.
And
excuse me.
Yeah, and then sorry, and then you get closer to the people. You get to have better, friendships and relationships and whatnot. When you're obviously able to speak more fluently. So, it was great being there. It was good because you were in one way, you were on vacation because, on your weekends you had your time off.
Sure.
And then you were earning a salary at the same time during the week. So you were getting kind of a 2-for-1. And, it was great.
That had to be such a wonderful experience. I mean, I like the Asia as a whole, and then Taiwan, or Thailand, in particular, is just fantastic. That's beautiful. Okay, so you taught the kids, and then how did you get out of that? Where did you go from there?
Well, after that, I came back to Vancouver, and I wanted to get settled back in Canada. Okay. And an odd thing happened. Within about 2 months of coming back, there was a job offer of. It sounds kind of dry, but it was writing curriculum for textbooks, and I did that in Thailand because I found some of the textbooks had some gaps in it. So I was making a lot of stuff up at night and printing it up and bringing it the next day to school. So I answered this ad, and it was a Japanese-owned company that were opening an office in Vancouver.
Yes.
And so I thankfully got the job, and a week before we were to start in Vancouver, the owner had a change of mind and wanted us to work out of Osaka in Japan.
What?
So, it was right after wanting to get settled back in Canada, but the salary was good, in Japan. The
so
yen
you did go.
Was very. Yeah, well, it was a good salary, and also at that time the yen was very high.
Wow, Pennan Brae, you had just gotten home, and then you're off. You back off to the Asian continent, or
back off. I couldn't get away from Asia. Yeah, so it was, and then Japan is, in Japan there's a whole other education, and so that job just lasted a couple of years.
All right, so you speak Thai, it was good. You speak Japanese.
I didn't have any room in my brain for Japanese after I tried, but I found that I was morphing my Japanese. By the end of the sentence, I'd be speaking Thai.
Oh no!
So I did try, but how
did they take that?
Easily. Well, with confusion.
Yes, I imagine so. So. All right, so 2 years in Japan too, writing textbooks. And it's very impressive that you noticed there were gaps in the textbooks in Thailand, and you filled them in. How did you fill them in? I mean, was this pre-internet, or was this just as the internet was coming to be?
The internet really was just in its infancy.
I believe it.
So it was you can remember what it was like. It was quite sparse. It's hard to believe now how many billions of websites there are, but it was really kind of primitive, when you compare to the abundance of things now. So
I was kind of imagining you with a stack of Encyclopedia Britannicas, in front of you, trying to fill in gaps. Is that what happened, or did you find your information on the web?
No, I mean, I used the textbooks, and then I sort of, the kids were learning so fast. They were so quick. They needed, something more was needed than, I guess it was just kind of a more advanced level, I guess, of the textbooks, or something a little more sophisticated or developed, and that kind of helped push them along, because they were just wonderful, they were just flying forward. And
well, like you said, when they're that young, they're little sponges, man. They soak up that information.
Yeah, definitely. So and it was kind of creative work too, like for myself, like it was kind of an outlet for for making things up, and like with regards to making up worksheets and
yes,
trying to present the information or the lesson creatively. It was kind of fun, and I've actually kept all of those old worksheets, like the originals that I've made. It's
Cool.
kind of like a little memento or something meaningful from that time.
Very cool. All right. No, see, I never know where these are going to go, man. You've come up with some gems. I had no idea. Thailand, Japan, you're a school teacher. You're teaching the kids. You got music in your background. Dad's a biologist. Or what was he doing?
Yeah, that's right.
Biologist. And what did your mom do?
Well, she was a teacher, but then when she had my sister and I, then it was that time when both parents didn't need to work two jobs. It was the living conditions were a bit more.
For sure. She stayed at home then.
She was able to raise my sister and I, which were quite a handful, So
no, that's the hardest job in the world. I don't want it.
It is the hardest job in the world.
Yeah, you got to do everything. You got to be everything.
Yeah, you're on.
Yes, 24 hours a day. No, okay, that's fantastic. So you got your teaching and your that from mom, and she probably instilled a lot of values in you as well. And then you got your smarts from dad too. Gosh, there's a.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say I don't think I'm as smart as them, but sometimes if I have it's nice if you the great thing with music is if you have an emotional outlet,
sure,
whether that's happiness, sadness, heartbreak, triumph, anger, whatever, that's there for you. So that's sort of the biggest thing that I have gotten or latched onto through music, or that's what I love about it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's a much more productive way, turning up the guitar loud and coming up with a riff than punching a hole in the wall or doing something not beneficial for yourself,
Right.
Channel that emotion elsewhere.
So we got a little background on you, Pennan Brae, a little more of where you came from. And 10 years ago, you did your first album. What was the first song you wrote?
Well, the first song I wrote was it was called Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And my first three albums were all written on the piano and then orchestrated differently, whether with lead guitar or piano as a lead. And going into the studio for that first time was just absolutely wonderful. It's such a unique atmosphere,
And
going into the
were
studio.
Were you already in Vancouver by then?
Well, it was quite interesting, actually. At that point, I was living on the east coast of Canada, in a tiny province called Prince Edward Island, which is probably similar in a way. I'm not that educated on Rhode Island, but I think it's something similar, and that's a really small state or province.
Okay.
And actually, there was a music producer on that small island of only 130,000 some odd people.
Mm-hmm.
Who worked as an engineer on Keith Richards' first solo album.
Back to Keith Richards.
Yeah. So I mean, what are the odds I would meet anyone that would have any association with him? Let alone this tiny spot. And so he had a 200-year-old farmhouse that he converted into a music studio.
Come now.
And we recorded those live, meaning I worked with local musicians there on the island, and I was just living there temporarily, and it was pretty exciting. We recorded the songs. I guess it's kind of traditional or old style, like all together. Drums, guitar, bass, keyboards, as opposed to each instrument separately. And it was pretty exciting. Just the buzz, when you did a good take. And then, after I recorded the vocals separately. So our first three albums are recorded there in PEI, Prince Edward Island. And then the fourth, when I moved back out to Vancouver, I recorded at Blue Light Studio, which is a great studio in Vancouver. And I've been working there ever since, recording my stuff there.
Oh, okay. So you have one place that you've been doing the other album. So that first place on Prince Edward Island, that's where you recorded your first album?
Yeah, my first three albums were recorded there.
First three, okay.
I recorded those in the period of a year and a half. So it was quite tight, the timeline.
Yeah.
And they're small albums relatively in that they each have 7 songs. And I was learning quite a bit. And and then when I moved out back to Vancouver, I spent some more time writing, and I felt I learned a lot more. Mm-hmm. I also met the musician I mentioned, Eric Alexandrakis, who served as a mentor to me, and so I've learned a lot from him, and so with this fourth, fifth, and sixth album, I kind of view them as kind of a graduation, so to speak, from my first 3 albums. I was just recording just at a better level. Mm-hmm. I was just doing things, long story short, more professionally, and just at a better standard, than I was before. And I owe a lot of that to Eric, in his mentorship.
I knew his name sounded familiar. I'm from Miami. He's from Coral Gables.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you?
I was born and raised in Miami, and I did a lot of radio down in Miami.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
So we probably crossed paths at one time or another. Yes.
Wow, that's interesting.
It is. So, this planet is tiny. You think it's big, but it's tiny. And especially with the internet, it's gotten smaller and smaller. You can work with people all over the world and hardly even, you don't have to, have shaken hands with them. You could talk to them on the phone or catch them on the internet, which is great. Pennan Brae, man, I'm learning a lot about the music side of you, and we haven't really even scratched the surface on the film side of you. So you made this is you said your 5th album, 6th.
The Astronaut is soundtrack is my 4th album.
4th album,
and then on September 6th, we're releasing our 5th album, which is a series of remixes of songs from the Astronaut. Now that might sound like kind of like an easy way out, when you hear remixes, or I used to think that, because you take the song's already done and then you remix it. But Eric and producer Kirk Kelsey,
right? They
really the songs are almost unrecognizable. Okay, the way they've changed them, and I'd like to send you the album. They created a really heavily 1980s mix of Strut, a song called Strut that's on the Astronaut album that I did. That they did a really masterful job of the mix, and
that's what you can do with the remix.
Forward to sharing it with you.
Did you lay down new tracks? Just the same vocals?
do you know what? They completely remixed
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
I was Kirk and Eric. They're at a level where I just I stay out of the picture with these remixes, and they send me things that I couldn't have imagined. So
no, it's amazing what you can do with a good producer. I know in Miami, working on the radio, I had a lot of people that I worked with that were producers, and there were some that will just consider themselves remixers. All they do is remix, and you can turn one song into a completely different song that would fit on a soundtrack better. Say you had this song that the words were just, oh, this is perfect. It creates this feeling, but the sound of the song is just not right for the film. So you remix it and you make it right, and you maybe use the same words. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm trying to. It's hard to describe because I don't quite know how they did it. But even some of the vocal lines, they've whereas the original songs are quite rock and roll and straight ahead.
Right.
There's been some effect put on the vocals, and there's kind of like a more club style music, which I'm not.
They put a little more electronic to it.
Definitely, and that's something I'm not. I don't have much background in or I'm versed in. So
no, you're a rocker, Pennan Brae.
Yeah.
you got the guitar and the keyboard. I mean, and the piano and the harmonica. And you're straight up musician, man. But these guys, are putting a little electronic twist on it. Hey, maybe it'll get a broader audience. Maybe the kids will dig it a little bit better. Possibly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. I think so too. So, that's going to be coming out September 6th, and then this next film is called Two Below Zero.
Yes,
and that's the album that'll have it's all guitar orientated. It's sort of the first album that I've done that doesn't have any keyboards at all, and it's straight guitar, and I can't wait.
Okay, so tell me about the films. Okay, we've gone through the music.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much covered it. I think the people know that Pennan Brae is a great musician, and he could put together some music. In 10 years, you've learned something about putting music together. Now, how did you get into the film? When did that start?
Well, that started 5 years ago.
5 years.
And I did a music video where I got not an actual astronaut suit, but a reproduction of an astronaut suit. Not one of those cheap ones you get. It was a really good reproduction, and
Cool.
I've always been fascinated with the space race, and you can remember what that was like as a kid growing up. And you get all these books from the Apollo moon landings. There's lots of picture books out and things like that.
Yes.
It was great for the imagination. And so in this music video, I was able to license footage from the Apollo 17, the last moon landing.
The last moon landing,
mission,
yes.
Which we worked into the album. Which we worked into the music video. And so I was doing an album cover here in Vancouver wearing that astronaut suit. And the photographer, he gave me the premise of the album cover was I was going to stand beneath a full moon, and look up at it as though I wanted to get to the moon. And the photographer suggested that how about you hold a rickety old ladder, so that looks like that's your only means of transportation. Like you don't have the technology or whatever to get to the moon.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a brilliant idea by Dan Jackson, the photographer. And then later it hit me. What if someone wanted to go to the moon but was unable to?
Yeah.
And then that's the premise of the astronauts, NOT. came up, and I already had the music recorded for this album cover.
Excellent.
And that I was doing with the astronaut picture, and then I was trying to think of a way to promote it, and we had done a lot of music videos by this point, 20 music videos altogether, and it just seemed kind of, I don't know, like just kind of repetitive by then, and just so I just that premise of someone wanting to be an astronaut but being unable to, it kind of developed, spawned this idea for a story.
Yeah.
And then the music was going to serve as a soundtrack for that. So and then worked away at the screenplay. And
did you write the screenplay?
Yeah, I wrote the screenplay, and then I worked with a director in Bend, Oregon, Tim Cash.
Yes.
Far From Earth Films.
I did see that name come up.
Yeah, we've done a lot of music videos before.
Okay.
And I've always loved Tim's ability of storytelling. And he's a good musician too, and behind the camera, he has a real knack for coming up with home run ideas. If you're at a fork in the road, he seems to make the right suggestion.
Okay.
And so I presented him with the screenplay, and he read it, and then we went through a lot of revisions. I got his advice and suggestions with it, and we just kept honing it, and then we filmed that, and that takes place in the 60s, and actually the film opens in 1941 and it closes in 69.
So where did you film this?
All in Central Oregon. Central Oregon is a wonderful place to film.
Yeah, I've never been to Bend. I tried to get to Bend, but I knew somebody there, and I was in Vegas, and I was going to head up there, but I just couldn't. But I've heard it's really nice.
It is, yeah. It's a really unique spot, and there's a lot of different landscapes. Mm-hmm. It's a very creative town also. I find there's a lot of artistic and creative people in Bend and Central Oregon. And so we filmed that, and that then we've had that on the film festival circuit, and it's shortly going to complete its run in the film festival circuit. And some we got in and some we didn't, and but it was a good experience. And
but did I see that it's won some awards or some accolades of some kind?
Yeah, we got into over 100 film festivals, so that's was
great. That
was amazing. So the big ones, we like the big Super Bowl ones, like Sundance and Toronto and whatnot. We couldn't get in, and
heartbreak.
It's tough, but that's the way it goes, and got to try.
And why do you take films to these film festivals? To try to get them bought or distributed?
Well, that's a good question, and I was asking myself that along the way. It was our first experience doing this, and my dream, sort of with the astronaut, because I kind of believe in the story, was having it done on a bigger scale production. Because I self-financed this, and so it was limited finances. It was limited finances, and we had a small team, Dan. I mean, we had, sometimes there was just 2 of us on the set, 3 of us, and we had no one to. We would move around our own lights and sandbags. We would act, and then we would try to just move somewhat cautiously, so not to get too flushed or too sweaty.
Right.
And shoot the same scene from a different angle.
Right.
So it was there's a lot of passion in it, and it was kind of true independent filmmaking.
Well, you say that you haven't had any experience in doing film yourself, but I'm guessing Tim Cash, he must have gone to film school, or he has some experience in this with the music videos,
no.
Of course. No.
Well, no. Tim's quite remarkable. He's self-taught,
amazing,
and completely self-taught. He's from the Jacksonville area originally.
Huh, okay.
Florida, but yeah, we had some highlights. You know, we got into the Bend, Oregon Festival, and we had a couple of hundred people in the theater there, and
what they think.
Yeah, we got into a few festivals, and the soundtrack got a couple of nods, and
yeah. What's the feedback?
And whatnot. Yeah, it was a satisfying experience. So we've with the astronaut, we've been approached with distributing it online. So we're just as our film festivals end, then we hope to, have it up on Amazon and whatnot for rental.
Please.
So it's.
So how long did it take to film this? To film the astronaut?
Yeah, well, that was 29 days.
29
days. It was a 72-minute long film, and we were all doing it for the first time, and
yes.
So we did 20 days and straight, and then mentally and we were exhausted.
I believe it.
Physically.
I believe it.
So we
I
had
couldn't imagine. And out there in Bend, Oregon, and it looks like a pretty. It's a pretty place, but it looks kind of deserted. What was the living situation like? Did you have trailers, or were you able to stay in a home of some kind?
Oh, we at the end of each night, we'd go back to our home, or I stayed in like a budget motel or something. And,
oh my!
Yeah, it was.
And you paid for this all yourself.
I did, yeah. Whether that was
are you rich?
A foolish decision or not?
Yeah, you're not supposed to finance your own films, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, this is
on a teacher's salary.
The budget. Less. The budget. Yeah, the budget was was not six figures or anything
right.
like that at all. So we all wanted to do it. So I think we all sacrificed a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you, I don't have any dependents, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
Right now,
you're not
at this point with children or anything. So
not a married man or no kids.
That's correct. So I do foolish things like this. And,
you're allowed to do them because yes, nobody's depending on you. This is great.
It fills the hole, Dan. It fills the gap. It fills the hole. So
filling the gap, somewhat like you were filling the textbook gaps earlier in the story.
That's right. That's right. So yeah. So the second film, 2 Below Zero, is a bit shorter. It's turned out to be 46 minutes.
Oh my goodness!
We're just finishing editing it, and Tim and I wanted to shoot in the snow.
Yes.
Winter films are a bit different. They're not as common, and they offer different visuals, obviously.
Yeah.
And we filmed. It just so happens that when we filmed in March of this year, at Central Oregon, our Bend had the largest snowfall in 102 years.
And you're back to Bend, Oregon. Okay. Tim Cash is living there now?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense.
It's, I was naive and ignorant coming from Canada that it could be so cold and so much snow could fall in Oregon. It was a 9-hour drive from me, so I naively thought, well, it can't be that bad. Well,
it can't be that bad.
Unbelievable. It was. I haven't seen something like that since my childhood. Like it was one of those once in a century snowstorms. It was great for filming in, though.
Okay, but me living here in the states, in the southern states for that matter, in Arkansas, I imagine that Canada is always snowing. It's always Arctic up there. Am I not correct?
Well, in Vancouver, and I wasn't really aware of this either growing up. When I was growing up in Toronto, Vancouver, so it's on the ocean, so it's very much like Seattle weather, and that. They might get snowfall occasionally, but it's also not unheard of to maybe only get 1 or 2 days of snow, and then it's gone. So, having lived here on the West Coast for so long now, that you forget what real winter's like.
Okay.
I mean, it gets cold. It gets cold, of course, but that what was going on in Central Oregon was a whole other ball game. It was just incomparable.
Wow.
But it was like I said, it was great for filming.
Great for filming. You could do all this on the soundstage with a guy throwing confetti at you, right? Confetti looks almost like snow. So. No?
That'd be, you spend a lot of money on confetti, I think. You do it a lot.
I think you did it right. I mean, you suffered a little bit, but you may have done it right. Now, all right. So 70-minute film and a 46-minute film. Those are short films. What can you do with a short film? How do you sell those? How do you make your money back on those?
Well, Dan, I've got to admit, or maybe you picked up on this on our phone call. I'm not the sharpest businessman in the world. When you mention about the pragmatic and the necessity of making money back,
sure.
I admit to not being sharp in that regard.
Hey, sometimes the creator's got to create, and it looks like you've created.
Yeah,
you're dipping your toes in it.
Yeah, I guess music is sort of the main my main thing. So
sure.
We're rehearsing right now the soundtrack, like a set list, of this upcoming soundtrack.
Yeah.
So we're rehearsing weekly in town. So that's sort of what I guess from the necessity of feeding myself and whatnot. That's
sure. Now, are you a touring musician? Do you go around and to bars and clubs and do your thing, or is that not what you do?
I was doing that, and then with the filmmaking, I dedicated the last couple of years, 3-4 years actually, to doing the film and recording the albums and promotion of the albums, and then. But now, I'd like to. I need to refocus on live performance.
Yeah, it's good to be an artist, but you don't want to be a starving artist.
No. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you get to a point where, definitely.
Okay.
You get to a point where it's, where reality sets in. So,
so good. Do you have any gigs lined up coming up?
Well, we're still in the midst of rehearsing.
Oh, good.
So we're probably still a couple of months off.
Okay.
Before we feel really good about going up for an hour and doing something presentable.
So you put a band together with some fellas from Vancouver? Yeah,
well, people I've recorded, that played on the album.
Okay.
That we recorded with and whatnot.
But you say they were in L.A. A couple of them. Are they coming?
Oh well. This on this upcoming album, on this sixth album.
Gotcha.
it's all done locally here.
Very good.
So, yeah. So that's what we're working towards right now.
So you got the band together. You're practicing hard, and hopefully you'll be touring. You'll be out in the clubs by end of the year.
I like to say I'm setting a goal for December to get out and doing some gigs again.
Hey, it's a Christmas wish. It's a Christmas miracle.
Yes, it will be. That's right.
Well, that's great, Pennan Brae. So you've got this movie put together, Two Below Zero.
2 Below Zero.
2 Below Zero. How did that come about? I know that you wanted to do it in snow, but now.
Well, a quick synopsis of the film is there's a the year's 1979.
Yes.
And there's a at the time, the written novel was something, what does someone have to say? What did they write? So the story is about an author, a writer, who's trying to write the great American novel, but he's typing incessantly, and his wife leaves him at the altar.
Ooh.
So he sort of has a bit of a breakdown, and he doesn't want to accept the fact that she's left him. So some switch has flipped in his mind, and he creates a mannequin in her likeness. Oh. And they move out to the hinterland. He has a trailer that he drops in the middle of nowhere in this snowy landscape, and there's 3 bullies in this small town where they moved to, and they're sort of like these alpha Amazonian female bullies.
Okay.
And they become jealous of his relationship with the mannequin. Now, of course, there's no relationship with the mannequin. She is always outside of the trailer. And one of the lead of these bullies develops an attraction towards the author. So, and they're inquisitive about what is he doing out there and in the middle of nowhere, and there's this trailer. And so they do some spy missions on him, and eventually they confront, and they confront him and the mannequin with a massive slingshot and snowballs, and there's an attack made. So it's kind of a dark comedy.
Okay. I'm sensing that.
Yeah. It's basically about this guy who has sort of lost it, fastens a mannequin in his ex-fiancee's likeness.
Right.
And these three alpha females develop a jealousy towards his relationship with that mannequin.
Well, your poster looks amazing. It kind of reminded me of what was that Step Brothers movie with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Kind of give me that same feeling when you with your get up there. But yeah, I'm kind of excited.
The John C. Reilly perm there, doesn't it?
That is it. That's the John C. Reilly perm you got on your head there, Pennan Brae. So, did you take any acting classes at all?
No, I didn't take any classes.
Self-taught, man. Self-taught. Hey, some of the best actors I've heard that they haven't. That they just went to Hollywood or went to wherever they can make a film and just did it. And that's what you've done, Pennan Brae. I'm excited to see both of these films.
Well, I look forward to sending you the link to both. And when I get some things organized here, I'm going to send you that. I really appreciate you.
Oh, you're a superstar.
If you take the time and check it out, It's kind of you think.
Certainly will. I'm a fan of movies, and yes, and I'm a fan of movie makers. And you're a creator, man. So yes, what do we say? Don't be a hater, be a creator.
That's right. How about yourself, Dan? Do you do any writing or things like that?
No, mostly I learn from people. I did go to school. I was a firefighter for a while. I've been a music DJ since '86. When I graduated high school, and here I am, 50 years old, and I still get to play at parties 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah. And I started this podcast so I can chat with people and pick brains, and that's what I'm doing. Pennan Brae.
Well, that's great. I mean, if your Instagram page is great. I mean, it looks like it looks like you're having a blast, and you're getting around a lot of places.
I have a lot of fun. And yes, I've gotten to talk to people all over the world. And here I am talking to Pennan Brae in Canada, Vancouver right now. And you've been all over the world teaching kids. Oh my gosh. When you came up with really Thailand, really Japan, you had just gotten home. That's really the craziest story, the craziest part of the story to me. And then, yes, you're a musician. You're very talented. You've come up with some albums. You got 60 songs produced in your pocket. I mean, that makes for 15 songs an hour. You could do a 4-hour concert easy, with 60 songs, no problem.
I think our set list. We're at about that right now.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you're in Bruce Springsteen era. When I went and saw him back in '84 at the Orange Bowl in Miami, he did 3.5 hours. He collapsed. Yeah. Clarence Clemens, rest in peace. He picked him up, took him backstage for about 15 minutes, came out. He did 45 more minutes.
Wow.
So yes, 60 songs. You could do a 4-hour show, but would you want to?
Yeah, I know he's famous for that. I saw him in Vancouver too, and it was a 3.5-hour concert.
Oh my goodness!
And you can't say you don't get your money's worth with.
You do
at a Bruce Springsteen show.
Oh, you do. Him and Elton John that you mentioned before, and Billy Joel, the greats, and still great. I know they're getting up there in years, and they're going to need some talent like you coming in and doing your thing. And my goodness, the Stones, are they ever going to quit? Are they ever going to stop? Because I think they did their last tour. They did their last tour like 20 years ago, and they're still going.
Yeah. They're playing right now as we speak. But
yes, they are. All right, Pennan Brae. Any other avenues you want to tell the people? Oh yeah, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of Pennan Brae?
Oh, thanks. Well, it's at my website is just pennanbrae.com, and that's PENNANBRAE.com, and I'm on Instagram at that handle, Facebook, and Twitter also. So. And then the astronaut.com, THE and ASTRONOT. And then our new film is 2 Below Zero, just the number 2 below, and then the number 0.com.
Yep. Well, I have your pennanbrae.com up, and at the bottom, he has all your links to Facebook and Instagram and all your social media right down at the bottom. There was one thing, kind of stuck in my head, and I just lost it. I was going to ask about something, but no, I mean, I've learned a lot about you, Pennan Brae. I want to see these films, and I think my theme for my show is going to be I'm going to be playing a lot of Pennan Brae songs tomorrow. I have a karaoke show at a barbecue place in Russellville, Arkansas. So I'm going to slip in a few of your songs. I play music videos between karaoke songs. So I'll slip in a few of your songs, and people are going to go, "Who is that?" And I'm going to let them know.
That'd be a real honor. Thanks, man. That's really, really thoughtful of you.
No, the honor is mine.
Means a lot. I appreciate that.
No, the honor is certainly mine. But I'll definitely put all the links to your social media and your website in the show notes to let the people know how to find you. And I also run this radio station, radiowhat.com. So if I can get a hold of your record, I'd be happy to play it on radiowhat.com.
Oh well, thanks a lot. I'm gonna get one to you for sure.
Hooray, Pennan Brae! Hooray! Any last words for the people?
Yeah. No. I just want to say thanks a lot, Dan, for your time and for how kind and generous you've been with giving me the chance to speak with you and providing this opportunity to share about my music and the film. It means everything in the world to musicians and artists. This type of thing. So it's extremely charitable and generous of you to provide this opportunity. So thank you.
Pennan Brae, people want to be heard, and I want to hear you. And thank you so much for spending your time with me for a little bit. There was one thing. I wanted a good picture of you that I could use, and I saw one where you're standing up in front of your guitar. I think that's the one I'm going to use for the cover for this podcast. I think that's a very good picture of you, but I think it's from 2013. At least that's what it says on the post. I need a fresher picture of you, or is that
okay? I got one from last year. I'll send.
Hey, all right. Go ahead and send that to me in the old. I think I added you as a friend on Facebook. Hopefully you'll accept my friend request and we'll be friends.
And it'll be official then.
All right, Pennan Brae. We'll chit chat a little bit later. Thank you so much for spending your time on the What Makes You Famous podcast.
Likewise. Thanks, Dan. Bye bye. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, party people. Pennan Brae. Man, this guy, he's awesome. It was so good chatting with him. I never know where he's going to go. He says, oh, yeah, I'm a musician and a filmmaker. Okay, yeah. But back up, he teaches children, or at least he taught children, in Thailand. It was like, oh, he teaches children. Okay, and then I'm expecting, he probably teaches at a school somewhere in Canada. Nope, he went to Thailand to go teach first graders. Wonderful. Teaching them English and math and all the subjects that they need to get themselves started in life. Yes. And then he comes back to Vancouver. He says, whew, I'm home. Oh, you want me to go to Japan and write textbooks? All right, I'll go. All the while, he's writing songs. He's thinking about these movies. Now, the movie thing has only been in the last 5 years, but still, that's 5 years of someone's life dedicated to making movies. The man's a creator. That's Pennan Brae. And, he started molding children's minds, and now he's going even further. When he makes music, people take a listen. It's pretty cool. It's a little throwback. Got the guitar, got the drums, a harmonica. Hello. He's got the influences from the 50s and 60s and the 70s, and you could tell, and the 80s. Maybe there hasn't been great music since 90. Perhaps, but then again, I'm biased. I told you, class of '86 rules. I'm a child that of the '80s. Yes, my mom and my stepdad, they both put a little '70s, a little '60s in my head as well. Handed me some 8-track tapes and 45s that they had lying around. So yes, I listened to a little bit of that. Some early Bee Gees from the '60s. Got to get a message to you. Oh, I. That was a 45 that I had, and yes, the Eagles' greatest hits and on 8-track and Pennan Brae, you've inspired me. You got me thinking about all the early days before I was a DJ. Before I was really coming into my own, making a couple bucks, doing what I like to do, entertaining the people. And it's the good feeling that you get, and I know you get it too, Pennan Brae. You get it when you're in front of an audience, and when you were at these film festivals showing out your film, you had some good feedback, and that's got to feel so good. Here, I created something. Do you like it? And if the answer is yes from even just a few people, hey, I made somebody happy. That's great. Pennan Brae, you're making people happy, and you're gonna go far, man. You're a creator. So yes, don't be a hater, be a creator. Pennan Brae, thank you so much for being on the program. What makes you famous? If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you. Give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Radio What? The music you want. Hey guys, this is Shelly G with a fast fact. The only guy without a beard in ZZ Top's surname or last name is Beard. Do you have a fast fact? Share it with us at Interactive Radio, radiowhat.com.
Follow Keys Dan on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of keysdan.com. Follow Radio What on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of radiowhat.com. The music you want is on.